Well, there's just something about a really solid trigger like this one right here. Now that is the Overwatch precision trigger for the Walther PDP. So if you didn't watch my original video on the Walther PDP, I actually talked quite a bit about how good the factory trigger was right out of the box. Now Walther's got several models out now that people really enjoy the factory trigger on it. But leave it to us that expect a little bit more, and of course the aftermarket to take it to that next level and bring you a little bit more performance and a lot shorter reset break. Now Overwatch Precision not only brings you the performance that we're pretty much all used to out of that company, but they also give you those sweet looks that Overwatch Precision is also known for as well. Now that thing definitely ran out there. I ran it a little bit kind of slower than I normally do, a little bit more methodically when I was testing this one out there for that range footage. Because since the Walther PDP trigger is good out of the box, I really wanted to kind of take my time feeling this thing out to really get a feel for that performance difference. Because we're gonna go over the percentages on what they say and show you everything here up close, do the trigger pulls, all that stuff you guys would expect, so you can get a really good feel for what comes with this kit and how it's gonna perform as compared to the factory Walther PDP trigger. All right, the Overwatch PDP trigger right there. Thing is just sexy looking. It's talking to me, singing to me, baby, I'm a love machine. All right, I'm never gonna do that again, I swear. Actually, I can't promise that. I'll probably do it again and you'll get just as mad. So before we get into that, guys, make sure you guys get subscribed. You know, turn those notifications on. Give the video a like if you're into this. Definitely leave a comment. Do you like these triggers? Do you not like these triggers? What else do you want to see? Because I like to know, because you guys come up with the best stuff. Let's go ahead and talk about what the kit comes with. Okay, you're going to get your trigger shoe right there. You're going to get the trigger bar, and you're going to get a couple of springs. So I've got the old stuff right here. You can see the trigger shoe, trigger bar, all one piece in there. Might be a little shiny, I'm sorry. Then you're gonna get a red spring and a green spring. I currently have the factory one right here. The red spring is in this. The red spring is a 3.8 pound spring and the green one is a 4.4 pound spring. And it's pretty close to that on the pull weight, which we will get into in a second. Let's go ahead and do some pulls here so you guys can see what this thing performs like. All right, so I mean, it's just right there. Hard wall, immediate break, no creep. Here's our reset. Bang. I mean, it's just right there. Okay, so again, hard wall, break. It's super clean. And one of the best things about the aftermarket triggers, especially like this, is the fact that you're going to get the trigger shoe safety that goes completely flush, almost a little bit sub flush. And it's just great. And the Overwatch triggers, all of the Overwatch triggers from any brand that they make them for, maintain all factory safeties. So let's go ahead before we do the trigger pulls, and we'll take a quick look on the inside here. You can see that's the red spring right there. That's all nice and stretched out. And then you can see that NP3 coated trigger bar right there. Now the NP3 stuff is not a cheap coating. It does have some lubricity properties. It does make the touching of metal to metal a little bit smoother. It's nice stuff and it's not cheap. And Overwatch does a lot of their triggers in that stuff, which is pretty cool because it is a good coating. So if you guys are interested in how all of this trigger system in here works, that's in my original PDP video where I kind of explain not only the gun, but how the trigger system in here works. I'll link that down below. But let's go ahead and do some trigger pulls on this thing so you guys can get a really good idea of what it is pulling at. So I'm gonna pull from the same place. I do pull a little low because that's where I try to get my finger when I'm pulling the trigger. So right there we are getting 4.4, so 4 pounds, 4 ounces. That's very consistent with what I have been getting with that 3.8 spring. It's been right around that weight. So that one was a tiny bit, 4.2 pounds. And if there's a little bit of difference, it's probably because of me, not the tool, because it's tough to do it exactly the same way every single time. That was a little bit higher. I have not gotten it to 4.5 pounds, so we'll do one more. And we'll go by the rule of averages here, because that was probably me. All right, so there we are. That one was actually a little bit lower. So 4 pounds, almost 4 pounds exactly. So any difference in that is just going to be placement of this, the angle. Things can throw the trigger gauge off. I'm not a machine. I do the best I can. Give you guys one last look at all that good quality machine work in this thing. It's just absolutely a sweet looking trigger, and the feel of this thing. I love the positive engagement of the trigger shoe safety. Feels absolutely awesome. So let's go ahead and talk about the performance of this out on the range, the cost of this, and why, since the PDP's got a great trigger right out the box. So as you saw up close there, this trigger is a definite performance gain over the factory one, if you remember what that looked like. Again, if you want to see the original review on the PDP, I will link that down below. And it does have a great trigger out of the box, but we all know people are going to ask for more performance and companies are going to give us more performance. Even Walther themselves is offering a factory performance trigger from this thing so you can put it in, which, yeah, why didn't you just give me the performance trigger out of the box? I guess that's a question for another day. Let me know in the comments if you'd have preferred to see that Walther performance trigger in this thing, how you bought it, rather than having to upgrade. But getting back to that Overwatch, we all know that companies are going to make triggers for pretty much everything out there that's feasible to make a trigger for, because people are going to want more performance. And Overwatch gives that performance in this trigger in the way of, I think it was 58% in the take up, 50% overall. So that's going to be from break, reset, back out to break again. And then you can take it down to like 3.8 pounds on the pull weight. That is pretty aggressive for a daily carry, unless you are really in tune with that thing. And then they do have, I think it was like a 4.4 or 4.5 pound spring as well, which is probably where most people are going to rest at. So for testing, I used the light one because I just really wanted to give that one a go to see what it would feel like. And it turned out to be absolutely great. So, you know, I got a comment once on one of the videos from somebody that was like, hearing people talk about trigger reset and take up and feel is just cringe because in a real life scenario, it's not going to matter. I'm like, well, yeah, but a lot of us do this for fun. We do this to have good times and just experience a little bit of fun or something different out on the range. It's not all about that real life scenario. There are other reasons to do things, so stop being such a negative Nancy. When it comes to the looks category, Overwatch Precision, in my opinion, is one of the best looking triggers out there. As far as performance, we all understand they do performance triggers with all of the safeties intact. Now, bear in mind, through all of this, I'm friends with some of the people at Overwatch. They did send this trigger in. They've been really cool to the channel over the years. So let's talk about that price. This thing is coming in $199. Let's just call it 200 bucks and say, ouch, right behind that. So I think a lot of us have gotten spoiled on those like cheap Glock kit conversions and stuff like that. I mean, Overwatch themselves has that Polydat that at one point was like 59 bucks. Pretty unbeatable for a trigger upgrade. Now, when it comes to stuff like this, it's a little bit more work to make a trigger than it is to just put a shoe on a factory Glock trigger bar, polish it, and send it out the door. But people are running into problems with that now too, because Glock done cut everybody off. So if you haven't noticed, the trigger bars people are using lately aren't Glock factory ones, and they're getting a little bit more expensive. So you're gonna have a little bit more money when it comes to a kit like this, or like say the M&P or other things out there that have aftermarket trigger kits. But still, that's no small amount of money to add into I think it was like $650 I paid for this. So you're already up to around $850 plus tax, plus you maybe or maybe cannot install the thing yourself. So you've got to take that budget into account. It may be your thing and it may not be your thing. The one thing I can say, that performance was obvious immediately, especially with that lighter spring. You know you've got a custom tuned trigger in there. Everything from the take up to the reset to obviously the overall tactile feel of that trigger was hands down leaps and bounds beyond the factory trigger, which was still pretty good out of the box. Now, I have not tested, nor do I have the Walther factory performance trigger. I'm gonna get my hands on it because I really wanna compare the Overwatch to that one, because Walther's is right around the same price. So I wanna see if they're going to the limits that Overwatch is with their custom trigger, and really just see if it's gonna be, worth buying one over the other. So when it comes down to the Overwatch precision trigger for the PDP, you gotta want it. It's not a small investment, but for those of you that have the budget and are interested in doing it, I'm pretty sure you're probably gonna like the thing. So I hope you guys like learning about the PDP trigger from Overwatch Precision. Absolutely knocked out of the park on this one, and it's one of the sexiest looking ones out there. Guys, make sure you get subscribed to the channel, turn those notifications on, and definitely give the video a like if you're into it. If you're not into it, just hit that thumbs down button twice and see what happens. You guys get out there and have some fun on the range. Remember, if you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready. I will see you guys on the next one.